Coming up, a preview of the NBA's Christmas Day games.
Plus, a discussion about the college football playoff and bowl games.
I'm Chloe Morrissey.
And I'm Abbey Sileo.
All this and so much more.
The Rambler Sports Locker holiday episode begins now.
Welcome back to Rambler Sports Locker. We've made it. Finals week is here, and so is the last episode of the semester. Abby, how are you feeling?
You know, the last few weeks of the semester are always super crazy, but I'm feeling really good. I got my Snoopy sweater on. I'm really excited for this episode. It's going to be really festive. I hope you're in the same boat.
Absolutely. I love the sweater. Very
you.
Festive. And we are in the midst of the holiday season, and the Ramblers had a very merry week of their own. Here with the latest recap of your favorite Loyola teams is Glenna Wethington.
Welcome back. I'm Glenna Wethington, and this is the Rambler Rundown. It was a great weekend to be a Rambler. Starting off with basketball, both the men and women's teams won at home in back-to-back games on Saturday. Women's basketball won against Eastern Illinois University 58-44, marking their second straight win this season. The men's team won against Harvard with a final score of 75-53, but they lost at the University of Tulsa 88-77 on Tuesday. Stay tuned for more on the women's game against Eastern Illinois. Track and field stepped inside and turned up the heat. On Friday, the Ramblers competed in their first indoor meet of the season at the Purdue Northwest Classic. The teams won both distance medley relays and placed first through fourth in the women's mile race. The next day, 15 athletes competed in the Sharon Collier Danville season opener in Boston. The Ramblers returned to Chicago with 11 new personal records. The team hopes to keep up their momentum at the Blue Demon Holiday Invite taking place today. Tomorrow is another basketball doubleheader at Gentile Arena. The women's game starts at 2 against the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, with the men's game following at 5 versus Goshen College. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Glenna Wethington.
Thanks, Glenna. Lots of great performances from the Ramblers. Now we have Natalie King here to tell us all about the latest MLB news, including a star player that many have their eye on.
The 2023 MLB Winter Meetings concluded Wednesday at the Gaylord Opryland Resort in Nashville. The annual meetings take place over a 4-day period, and officials from all MLB teams gather to discuss trades and transactions. The most exciting free agent this year is Shohei Ohtani. While his negotiations have been secretive at the meetings, it's expected he'll end with the largest contract in MLB history, worth over $500 million. The New York Yankees have been associated with a number of high-profile names. They just closed on a 7-player deal with the Padres to acquire outfielder Juan Soto and are trying to sign star Japanese pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Fresh off of their World Series win, the Texas Rangers added reliever Kirby Yates to their roster, with a 1-year deal worth more than $4 million. As for the Chicago teams, the Cubs are waiting on a decision from Ohtani and have also been connected with Yamamoto. White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf met with the mayor of Nashville during the winter meetings, leaving many fans speculating if the Southside team is considering moving to the Music City. With the winter meetings over and Ohtani signing anticipated in the next few days, the offseason is about to heat up with free agent signings and trades. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Natalie King.
Thanks, Natalie. It'll be interesting to see how things play out for the Cubs and White Sox this offseason. Let's hitch a sleigh from Nashville back to Chicago, where the Loyola track and field team competed in the Purdue Northwest Classic last weekend. Shreeya Pattekar has the recap.
Thanks, Abby. On Friday, the Loyola track team had their first indoor meet of the season and swept the floor with 9 personal bests and multiple first-place finishes at the Purdue Northwest Classic. In the distance medley relay, Mia Dubak, Kate Wojciechowicz, Joe Collins, and Roy Sheen Tracy finished with a time of 12:18.4, winning first place by 40 seconds. Jack Slaughter, Miguel Aboitua, James Howell, and Stephen Lacey finished with a time of 10:23.32, winning by almost a minute. For the women's 1-miler, the Ramblers took the top 4 places. Tracy got first place and her personal best. Trent Anderson placed second in the men's 1-miler, also with a new PR on his indoor track record. Fran Hendrickson got second in the 800 meter at 2:21.56. Finally, in the 4x400, Loyola's McLean, Wojciechowicz, Collins, and Hendrickson placed third with a time of 4:10.85. After such a wonderful meet, I can't wait to see who else the Ramblers defeat. Next up, we have William Bazzone recapping the women's basketball game last Saturday against Eastern Illinois.
Last Saturday, December 2nd, the Loyola women's basketball team defeated the Eastern Illinois Panthers by a score of 58-44. On offense, the game might not have been the best for the Ramblers, shooting just 36.7% all afternoon, but the defensive game plan was a masterpiece. Head coach Allison Guth said, quote, "We've switched up our defensive game plan ever since DePaul when they absolutely exposed us on the interior. We changed how we guarded in the post, and I think that adjustment and denying touches has been huge for us," end quote. Loyola forced 24 turnovers out of the Panthers and held their star forward Macy McGlone to just 10 points. And she got her cardio in for the day as she was held scoreless after the first quarter. We'll switch it over to our 3 stars of the game, starting with senior forward Satori Tannen. She had 9 points, 9 rebounds, and drew 8 fouls, which proved to be very beneficial for the Ramblers down the stretch. Head coach Guth also praised her ability on the defensive end and keeping the game close for the Ramblers. Our second star is fifth-year guard Thorana Keough. The Icelander added 10 points and 5 boards of her own. But our top star of the game was another fifth-year guard, the one they call Cooking Mama, Alyssa Fisher. And ladies and gentlemen, she was cooking out there. She had 16 points and shot 4 of 8 from beyond the three-point arc. After a week off, the Ramblers returned to Gentile Arena this Saturday, December 9th, to face the Milwaukee Panthers. Tip-off is set for 2 p.m. Central Time, and the game will be streaming on ESPN+. From downtown Chicago, William Bazzone for Rambler Sports Locker.
Thanks, William. While some of us will be rocking around the Christmas tree, 10 NBA teams will be rocking around the court on Christmas Day. Amelia Villhauer has more.
Thanksgiving is typically the day people reserve for sitting on the couch and watching sports games with their family. But who says Christmas can't get in on the action? The NBA has announced 5 games taking place on this festive day. The NBA is giving fans a star-studded day with plenty of former MVPs playing on Christmas, including LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. First is the Milwaukee Bucks versus the New York Knicks. This is the 56th time the Knicks have played on Christmas, and if they take home the win this year, they will tie for the most Christmas Day wins at 24. Then the last 2 NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors, play each other. One of the biggest rivalries in the NBA will battle it out at 4. The Boston Celtics will play the Los Angeles Lakers. The Celtics won their last match. Fans will have to wait and see if they can do it again or if the Lakers will take the win this time. Then reigning MVP Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers will see how they fare against the 2023 Eastern Conference champs, the Miami Heat. And for the final watch at 10:30 p.m., there's another rivalry matchup between the Dallas Mavericks and Phoenix Suns. The last time these teams saw each other, it led to an overtime matchup with 4 players scoring over 30 points until the Suns eventually took the 130-126 win. A very exciting way to close out the holiday. And don't worry, football fans, the NFL has announced there will be 3 games on Christmas. They include the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Baltimore Ravens versus the San Francisco 49ers. Let's hope for a jolly good time with both sports this holiday. Amelia Villhauer, Rambler Sports Locker.
Thanks, Amelia. I know Christmas can be crazy for a lot of us who celebrate, but I know sports fans have a lot to look forward to that day.
Absolutely. Fans, you won't want to mistletoe it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. While these teams look forward to Christmas Day, Loyola men's volleyball has some big plans right after New Year's. Caroline Lyngen is here to preview their upcoming season.
Let's look ahead. It's January. The holiday season is in the past. And oh, what's that coming around the corner? It's men's volleyball season. The Ramblers ended their season 11-3 in conference play and 12-7 overall last year. 6 students were named as all MEVA honors, and head coach John Hawks was named as MEVA Coach of the Year. So the future is looking bright for the men's volleyball team. 17 of the 2022-23 team have returned, and 10 freshmen have joined the team. Parker Van Buren, Cole Schlatter, Dan Mangun are all returning to continue their work for Ramblers' success. Van Buren ended last season with 21 kills, 4 blocks, and 1 ace. Ramblers look strong, but time will only tell. Their first game at home will be January 1st at 7 p.m. Central. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Caroline Lyngen.
Thanks, Caroline. The men's volleyball season isn't the only event starting around New Year's because the college football playoff is set. This past weekend, the selection committee announced the 2 semifinal matchups. Number 1 seed Michigan will play number 4 Alabama at the Rose Bowl, and number 2 Washington will face number 3 Texas at the Sugar Bowl. But not everyone is happy with this year's selections. William Bazzone, Ethan Beltran, and Nate Keough are here to talk about the bowl games on this week's edition of The Ramble.
Ah, yes, the classic holiday episode and the last ramble for me here at the desk. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, as always, William Bazzone, and joining me today is Ethan Beltran and our legendary executive producer, my boss, Nate Keough. Thank you guys all for watching me throughout the semester. I really do appreciate your support. But today, as Chloe and Abbey talked about just a minute ago, some big news on the bowl game fronts. So, we're going to talk about the college football playoff in just a minute, but we got to talk about the number of bowl games. It is ridiculous. There's a bowl game for everything now, 43 of them to be exact, from the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, even the Rob Gronkowski LA Bowl. I'm reading this correctly here in my notes. Like, is this really what we've gotten to? Just a bunch of mediocre naming rights and mediocre teams playing? I want to hear about that first before we get into the playoff. Nate, I'll start with you. Are there too many bowl games?
Absolutely, there are too many bowl games. There's always going to be too many bowl games in a world where losing teams with 5 and 7 records are making bowl games.
Minnesota made it this year with a 5 and 7 record.
Usually Power 5 conference teams. I even think it's a little ridiculous to let 6 and 6 teams into bowl games. I mean, it's just too much. The more bowl games you have, the less significant it becomes to actually make a bowl game.
But what about the teams, though, right? It's like you work hard all season, all these 100 players. They're all working hard, and they get to travel, and they get all these nice little gifts and swag. The school maybe gets a little too much money. I'm not going to get into that, but is it a reward?
Oh, yeah.
Even if you're a mediocre team.
I totally understand that, and it's great for the school, especially some of the smaller schools that get into these bowls. It's perfect for exposure, just kind of like March Madness is with all those teams. But I think what separates this is just that most of these bowl games, if it's not the playoff, I mean, and it's not a New Year's Six bowl, it hardly even matters. I mean, we see players, Caleb Williams most notably this time, a lot of star players who are declaring for the NFL draft won't even play in these
exactly.
bowl
They'll
games.
sit them out.
Makes you question what's even the point.
Right, exactly. So you're not really going to see the best talent out there, and a lot of other factors can go into it. Ethan, how do you feel about them?
I feel like to counter Nate's point, players opting out isn't that big of a deal when you have so many teams playing. So when the lower level teams play, you have all the players playing, so they're not opting out. And then I think this is a good amount of bowl games because you have the semifinals, finals for the college football playoff.
Right.
And so you need something to counter that. So I think having maybe 43 is a little too much, maybe somewhere in the 30 range.
But what about teams like, Jacksonville State or James Madison? The only reason they got in is because there weren't enough bowl-eligible teams. You look at some of these really great FCS teams, like should they be able to compete against some of these higher-level teams and kind of create a challenge and give them, like Nate was saying, like put them on a national audience and give them that spotlight?
Yeah, I think some of these teams deserve that because they don't get that throughout the regular season.
Absolutely.
James Madison's a fun team to watch.
Exactly.
And I think they deserve to go up against some of the top teams, just not only for the national exposure, but recruiting is also a big thing too.
Absolutely. That's another really important thing to consider. Now, next up, everybody, we've got to talk about the college football playoff. This year, we've got Michigan, who a lot of people know, cheating scandal. I know some people might have some thoughts about that. I'm from Ohio. I don't know whether I'm a Bucks fan or a Wolverines fan, but I'm going to stay out of this. We got Washington. The Huskies are in it this year. Really exciting to see Michael Penix and company really having a good year. The Longhorns from Texas and the Alabama Crimson Tide managed to sneak their way in after beating Georgia in the SEC Championship. Most notably left out was the Florida State Seminoles, who had a 13-0 record, and there is outrage in the state. Everybody wants a lawsuit. Everybody's setting money aside. They're just so besides themselves. Obviously, the playoffs are expanding next year, but for right now,
Was Florida State robbed? Were they denied a spot that they truthfully deserved? What do you think about this, Nate?
Well, look, sports, especially the NCAA, it's a business first.
Yeah, well,
and you got to look
hard
at
to
how
argue.
the national championship last year ended up with Georgia beating TCU 65-7. Now, that's not great for ratings.
No.
FSU, while yes, they are the first Power 5 team to go undefeated while being left out of the college football playoff, they're down to their third-string quarterback. They don't have that many impressive wins other than LSU, which was quite literally the first game of the year.
Absolutely.
Look, when you look at Alabama, they took down Georgia, who hadn't lost a game in, 2 years?
Yeah.
And their only loss was to Texas, who's also in the college football playoffs. So can we really knock them for that when this team's supposed to be ranked higher than them anyway?
Exactly, and like
At the
Nick
3
Saban
seed?
said, look at our whole season, not just the one loss. I think that's a point well taken. Ethan, anything else to add to this?
To go off the point with FSU, I think when you have a committee making these decisions, they have to think about it's for the 4th seed. So who's going to give Michigan a better game? Alabama has a better offense that can go against Michigan.
Sure.
FSU doesn't have their quarterback, and they're as good as their defense might be. When you're going up against the number 1 defense in the league or in the nation, you have to pick a better team for that, and I think Alabama has it.
Well, we'll see, and who knows, maybe someday we'll be getting bowl games like the Cereal Bowl for all I know. And who knows, maybe next year with the expanded playoff, we'll see some more competition, some exciting games, and teams who might not have had that shot get in there. And I want to thank Nate and Ethan for coming on, and before I do sign off for the last time, I do want to thank Lucas Kim for giving me the blessing to host the Ramble. Obviously, Nate, Sarah, and Amelia for giving me that trust. It's been awesome to host this Ramble. It's been great to not have a script in front of me and kind of just, keep this show flowing and keeping it exciting. And as always, form your own opinion about these issues. Let us know what you think, and I'll be back. It's not a goodbye. I'll be back on the floor reporting in the spring, but for now, have a happy holidays. Signing off for the last time. We'll swing it back to Abbey and Chloe to finish the show.
Thanks, everyone. Now, before we go, Chloe, I have to say that this is not only our last episode of the semester, but our last episodes as RSL reporters. How are you feeling?
Honestly, it's very bittersweet. I transferred to Loyola my sophomore year, and RSL has been one of the biggest parts of my college career. I've made so many close friends through RSL. I've had some of the best memories and just grown so much in my time here. So just to look back from my sophomore year to now, it's surreal, but you know what? We're closing this chapter and moving on to the next, so.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, but I've been here since my first week, my freshman year, 2019, and again, all the same things. I've met so many incredible people in my time here. I've learned so much. I got to experience so many different things I never thought I'd get to, and I'm really excited for what's next. I'm so happy to meet you and everybody else behind the camera, and yeah, we're ready for the next chapter. That wraps up this holly jolly episode of Rambler Sports Locker.
To stay up to date on all things Rambler Sports, be sure to follow us on X, TikTok, and Instagram at Loyola RSL, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Signing off for the last time, I'm Chloe Morrissey.
And I'm Abbey Sileo. Good luck with finals, have a great holiday, and don't forget to turn off the lights.